Hey, math scholars! I hope you are all doing well today. Today is our last day for our dream room project. And for math, instead of thinking about our dream room, we're going to take a closer look at your real room. So let's get started. Today's lesson is called Counting Items in Our Room. And our objective, remember, that is the thing that you are going to be able to do by the end of this lesson is I can create a frequency table that identifies the number of objects in my room. So again, your real room, not our dream room that we've been talking about so much lately. Some of you might be thinking about, okay, we've been talking about frequency tables and now we're making a frequency table, but I need a reminder. What is a frequency table? I got you, my friends. A frequency table is a chart or table, they're synonyms, that lists items and shows the number of times the items occur. So let's say you have apples, oranges, and pears. This table is going to show that you have all three things, and it's going to tell you how many times or the frequency of each fruit, apples, oranges, and pears. Let's take a look at my example. So here I have the beginning of my example of things in my room frequency chart or table. So remember that a frequency table is counting how many times an item or thing is being counted, right? So I have my items column, so those are the things that I'm going to be counting. I have my tally column, which is just that. It's tallies that I'm using to help me count my things. And then once I'm finished doing all the tallies for all of my things, I then have my frequency column. And that's why these are called frequency charts or frequency tables, because at the end you are figuring out the actual number or the frequency that that item is occurring. So as you can see, I started here with my books, and I did a lot. I have a lot of books in my room. I have 133, and it took a long time making all of these tally marks. So I decided to do something a little easier the next time, and I did pencils. And I realized that I only had 15 pencils. Now it's time to count how many pens I have. So I started counting, and I was making my tally marks, and I realized that I have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 1 pens. Notice that when I was making these tally marks, each single tally mark counts for 1. But when I get to 5, I make this cross, and now I can just count them by 5s. So I can go 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 31. That is the beauty of using tally marks. So you don't have to keep going 1, 2, 3, because otherwise it's going to get very hard and very long. It also helps you to keep track. So you can count 5 things, do tally marks. Count 5 things, do tally marks. So you don't have to count them all at one time. You can count them by 5s. This right here is my frequency chart. So you can see by looking at this table that I have a lot of books in my room, and that I have more pens than I have pencils. In fact, you could even say that I have not 15 but 16 more pens than pencils, because 31 minus 15 is 16. This is how you are going to be making your frequency table or frequency chart for things in your room. Now, you might be thinking, Miss Gustafson, that's great and all. Your frequency chart was awesome, but I don't have books in my room, so what am I supposed to do? Well, I've got some ideas that maybe can get your brain to start thinking about things that you could count in your room. So let's take a look at this. Your job today is to make a frequency chart that has at least 3 things that you're counting in your room. You can choose 3 things from this, or you could choose something else. It's up to you. But let's look at this to give your brain some ideas. So, you might have a whole bunch of blankets in your room that you might want to count, or maybe you have some cool games and you want to count those. Or maybe you're like my sister and have tons of stuffed animals, and that would be a good thing to count. You could count your shirts, or maybe you have a whole bunch of pants that you could count. How about shoes or even Legos? And you don't have to count the bricks, every individual brick. You could even do the things that you make with the Legos, the finished products. You could count pens or pencils, or maybe you have markers or paintbrushes. It's up to you. Notebooks or books, pillows, or maybe even hair binders or scrunchies. I don't know about you, but I always have a bunch of these hanging around in my room. So really it's up to you. Just 3 things that you find in your room that you could count.